Hey there! If you have ever wanted to cast Subsonic 9mm bullets and reload them, this video is for you. A while back I got my suppressors and I've been getting some Subsonic loads ready for various calibers, and while I was doing my research and waiting for my suppressors, I found that there seemed to be some calibers that did really well suppressed. Obviously 22, 300 blackout did really well, and then 9mm, a lot of people commented on 9mm. My 9mm, for the suppressors I got and the setups I had, 9mm didn't really work very good, have a very good setup. But recently I discovered the Recover Tactical Stabilizer brace, and this was the perfect setup and opportunity for me to use my 9mm suppressed. I do have a video on that brace, a review of that brace, which I will link up above now if you're curious about it, or if you think it might work. It might be something that will work for you. So to get subsonics for 9mm, first I was shooting 125 grain cast bullet. It was from a Lee mold, and it shot really well. I really like the bullet. I've been shooting this for years. Shoots really well. Before that, I was just buying my bullets, just various types of bullets. I think I was using various bullets, just copper-plated bullets. They're working fine as well. The 124 grain work just as good, if not better, than those. And it's a lot cheaper to shoot if you do it yourself. Anyway, obviously that is not subsonic, and in order to go subsonic and have it operate well, you need to you just don't want to decrease the charge in 124 grain, because you're not maximizing the case efficiency, the cartridge efficiency, which then you can have issues cycling. I was looking for a Lee 147 grains mold for 9mm. They didn't have one, and that's what I've been using in the past for most of my molds is Lee molds, and they seem to work good. And I do like how they have those 6 cavity molds, which is awesome for 9mm. You shoot a lot, so putting out 6 bullets at one time is nice to have. Anyway, they didn't have any, so I did some research, and I ended up using the Lee 6 cavity mold for their 38 special. It's a 158 grain bullet. So I got that, and I casted some. And when I went to load them, I noticed that the ogive on these bullets is much longer than the ogive on, well, for one, these bullets that I've been using in the past, 125 grain cast bullets, and significantly longer than like a factory round nose 9mm bullet. So this is just to give you an idea. I'm just going off the overall length here. So the overall length for a factory bullet is, for the factory bullet I have here, it's a 9mm 150 grain, 115 grain full metal jacket bullet. It's 1.155. Okay, the overall length for these 125 grain bullets that I was shooting is 1.075. And the reason that I have to reduce the overall length as compared to factory is because the ogive is longer. So the ogive is longer, therefore I have to seat the bullet deeper so that it will fit properly in the chamber of the barrel. So, and then I loaded these up, and I loaded them at the same overall length to what these 125 grains were. It was not fitting in the chamber of my pistol, so I knew the ogive was longer, so I had to decrease the overall length. So I finally got it to finally figured out the overall length, and it ended up being 1.055. So much shorter, and the bullet is heavier as well. So the issue that you can run into with that is the further the bullet has to be pushed in the case, the less room for powder. Okay, but generally with heavier bullets, you use less powder anyway. I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll go out and test them. I went out and tested these. I actually did a video of it, but the results were not good, so I ended up not posting it. Anyway, when I test 9mm bullets, I have a 9mm barrel that I use out of my Glock 35. So I tested out of that, and then I also tested out of I have a little Walther PPS, and I test them out of that too. So I like to test them out of both to make sure the accuracy is sufficient for both pistols. Anyway, I went and tested them, and the accuracy not only was horrible, there was a few keyholes. Now, keyholes obviously make the round obviously not accurate. The second thing that's really bad is if you have a suppressor and you have rounds that are not stable, that tumble, it can cause a baffle strike. It doesn't necessarily cause a baffle strike. It depends when they start to tumble, but it can. So I'd rather just play on the safe side and not deal with that. I did some further playing around with it. I went out and shot some targets, and it just was not consistent. The bullets were not consistent. They were not shooting well. They did operate fine, slide, kickback, and everything. Anyways, I've been using unique powder, which I really love. It's worked well for the other loads. So after that, I kind of sat down and determined what I should do, determined if I should just scratch this mold and get a new one. But what I thought was that I would try different powder. Now, there are several reasons why you can try different powder, and generally I have found the powder change to be more dramatic in rifles, and I think that's just because the barrel length is a lot longer. There's more variety in the barrel length and the bullet weight. So I think changing powders have a more dramatic effect on that. Now that's just my experience and kind of my thought process. Anyway, so I thought, well, I'll change the powder and see what that does. Now the reason why the powder change might work, and I'll go through it and tell you kind of some of the powders that I think would possibly work, and what powders I think I'll use. The reason why changing the powders works, at least one of the reasons, is because generally for heavier bullets you use a slower burning powder, and this is simply because the bullet is not traveling as fast through the barrel, so the slower burning powder will be able to burn, has a longer time to burn before the bullet reaches the end of the barrel. Now after the bullet leaves the barrel, all the powder that has been unburnt is wasted, so you obviously don't want to get too slow with burning powder. Anyway, the powder I was using was unique. Now on the powder chart that I looked off of, from the powder from fastest burning to slowest burning, number one being the fastest, unique was 32. And there's another powder that I have used in the past, which is pistol powder, and now that powder is 34 on the powder charts. So not a whole lot slower, but I thought, hey, you know what? I think I have a little bit left. I may as well give it a try. Now the only issue that I may run into with that is I think it uses a little bit more powder. So again, worrying about the that bullet having to be pushed so far down into the case. Hopefully I have enough room for this extra powder. And then there's an Herco, which is 36 on the chart I was looking at. So that's a little bit slower. And then the powder that I really wanted to try, which I might if these powders don't work, that I already have, Hodgdon CFE pistol, which is 42 on the chart, and it's 147 grain, uses 4.2 as the max for powder for what I found from Hodgdon's reloading data on their website. That one I wanted to try. I don't have that, but I think that would work really well. Anyways, I'll go through the rest of the powders. If I think I need to test that, then I will. Another one which I actually use for my 40 caliber bullets, and I love this powder. You can get some serious speed with this powder, is Long Shot. And this one is 51 on the powder burn rate chart that I was using. So I'll go ahead, and I figured I'd try that too. I was hoping to have a video for you showing you the results of my reloading from 147 grain, but as I said before, it was just a complete crapshoot. Would have not been very interesting for you, I'm sure. So anyway, I decided to do this video, give you a little update, and hopefully by next week I will have a reloading video for you, and we can see what powder does the best. I hope this video was helpful for you. Make sure you have that bell clicked so you can get updates for my next videos that come out in about a week. Watch for the 9mm subsonic testing video that will be coming out in the next week. Thanks for all your support, and we will see you next time.